Welcome to Tapping Companion. Tapping is also called EFT, if you've heard it as that. It's called the Emotional Freedom Technique. And it was started by a person called Gary Craig. The reason I stumbled into it was when I was experiencing anxiety, and I've been experiencing it for many, many years. And I tried a lot of techniques that I didn't feel as much relief from the anxiety. So when I started doing tapping, I saw a big shift in the way I could handle it. So today we'll talk about what is emotional. So since I found it so effective, I started using it in my coaching practice. But when I started using it alongside coaching, I saw a really big help. I felt it was helping the clients in connecting to themselves and their reality in a more, comfortable and compassionate way. Let's talk about what is tapping, right? Like, what is the philosophy behind it? How does it help? So we all have, in some measure, had some traumatic experience in our life, whether it is in our childhood, whether it is in our teenage years or in our adulthood or even just now or whatever. And what happens when we experience these traumatic situations, what we have been shown is to put it under the rug, ignore it, and so we don't really process it. It's all shushed away. And what happens when this happens is that it becomes an emotional block in us. And as this unprocessed trauma becomes the emotional block, it starts staying with us in our body. Like, for example, with the hard drive in our computer, it has so much of information that we don't need. We are not even using it on our computer, but it is stored in the hard drive. And when it becomes an overload, the computer breaks down, or it tells us that please clear up your hard drive. Similarly, these traumatic situations which are unprocessed, they start accumulating in our energy system. And as these start accumulating, they start taking the space, like your hard drive, the space, and your body gets into the mode of the symptoms. And it tells you, now do something about it and clear up these old files because I am not functioning properly. I need space. Please clear up something from here. And that's what EFT is about. It helps us remove these blocks by tapping. So if energy stops moving in our body, it causes us ill health and various other dysfunctions. When the energy moves smoothly, it is a healthy body. That's the ideology behind EFT. So just like how in our houses, the electricity that we use passes through the electric lines, right? Similarly, our body is energy, right? We all agree with that. We know that there's an energy in the body, and this energy flows through the meridians. So in EFT, what we do is, when we are tapping, we are releasing that block. We are tapping on the meridian and we are releasing that block that is there in that meridian. So it clears up the blocks. So if you have heard about acupuncture, this tapping is very similar to acupuncture, except that in acupuncture they use needles to poke in these meridians, but here we are doing it with tapping. What can EFT be used for? EFT can be literally used for anything and everything. Now, something traumatic might have happened the previous day, which I want to release, so then I can tap. I notice a block when I lived my life yesterday and I want to release that emotional block, or I identify there are some limiting belief systems in me which I want to work on. I can tap. That's why I like it very adjacent to coaching, because it's so similar and it helps us. It's like a tool that helps us go deeper. Or you can have phobias on which you tap. So basically, or you can have physical ailments, pains, like literally headache and backache and all these aches for which you can tap. Of course, there is a restriction in terms of what needs medical care and what needs tapping. That is a discretion that we make. So these are all the different areas that we can use tapping. This is literally a brief summary of what EFT is. When we start doing the tapping process, we have to identify the issue. We call it the issue. Now, this identification of issue happens when you are doing a session privately with a tapping coach. However, when we do sessions like this, where we are talking to a wide audience, where we don't know what each person's issue is, we are tapping on things which are general. So I'm going to be tapping with you with topics that are general to the human family. All humans experience it sometime or the other. And it's easy, because all you have to do is follow what I'm doing and say what I'm saying loudly. Now, what is it that I'm saying? That's important for you to know too. I'm saying something called a setup statement, and I will use reminder statements, which is kind of using the technology of NLP, and it is trying to bring our attention to what that problem is that we are dealing with. So it is not ignoring and covering under. So some people feel that, if you look at the problem, it becomes more. And so they don't want to look at it. But that's again a belief system. So we have to, here we look at the problem, we look at it eye to eye, and we allow things to arise. And I'll take you through the process that we will be doing tapping today, so that every week we can just jump into the tapping process. So, what are the do's and don'ts? Let's finish that and then we'll go to the process. For when you are tapping, you may feel like sneezing, you may feel like yawning, or you may feel like sighing, or you may feel like crying. Whatever comes, allow it to come out. Now, if it is causing you too much of anxiety or too much of you don't want to look at it that deep, then you just stop and you just hold and breathe. That's it. Nothing is going to happen. Just hold and breathe, and that's it. And then come back to it when you feel you can see it again. So the thing that you need to remember is you are the boss. So do's: allow anything that comes out of you to come out, especially yawning. Don't control these things. That is the release of the emotional block. The don'ts is, of course, don't control any of these things, and don't bang yourself like this. You can just gently tap. Not so gently that you don't feel it, like just the right amount of pressure. When we look into into the reality, sometimes we don't like it, but we've got to look into it. So some amount of discomfort we've got to take for it to be effective. We drink water because water again helps in the flow, and it helps us to ground and connect. Now, every time when we start the session, I will be asking you to check in and rate. Give yourself a number for that particular thing that we are going to tap on. And then we drink the water, and then we start the tapping process. The tapping process, I'm just going to name the points for you now and show them, but I will take you through it as we do the tapping session. So I'm going to do a process called the shortcut with you, because there are many processes that we have and we use it according to the client's needs. Now here, since this is an audience which is whose needs I don't know specifically, we are using something called a shortcut, which will help you just in the overall well-being of your emotional body. So the points are as follows. So we start with the side of the hand, and the tapping can be with all the fingers like this. it can be with 2 fingers like this, anything. And wherever, if the area is more, it can be 4 fingers. If the area is less, it can be 2 fingers. So the first is the side of the hand. Then we go to the top of the head. Then we go to the eyebrow. This is where your eyebrow starts. You have that growth of hair where it starts there. Then we go to the side of the eye. There's a bone in the side of your eye, just on that bone. Then under the eye, again on the bone, not under the eye like this, the skin part of it, but on the bone. Then under the nose, again on this part, under the lips. Then on the collarbone, you can do it on top of your clothes as well, and just there, that's the collarbone. Then the underarm, under the arm, one hand below, that's where you tap. Okay, under the arm, and you can tap together. In the end, we will tap over here. Okay, so just go with me, follow me, and you will see for yourself how you feel. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week again here at the Tapping Companion.